But they should have done this, which is, so Sean's at some club the night before, he's like shooting pool. He doesn't know anything to do or where to go, and they're like, oh, you can go to this place, it's friendly to fight. It was something like that. So he's in there by himself, like shooting pool. Unless he had like Van Arsdale with him, or I mean, there was someone there to corner him. Might not have been VA, but it was like that. And Wanderlei and the whole team come up to him right there. He'd never met him before.
Might be Tom Erickson, maybe.
Yeah, they came right up though, and she think as a wrestler, you think they're going, hey, how you doing? I'll see you tomorrow, type thing. And they're like, no, all the money. Unless they double or nothing, that's it, not the term. Winner take all. Winner take all. Agree to it right now. Winner take all. And he's like, what the heck's going on? And they like basically cornered him just to say yes. It was like a mugging, but they didn't take his money. They just needed him to say yes to take the money. And then he shows up the next day, and he's covered in Vaseline, which was a move that the Brazilians did a lot back then. When we would go to Brazil to fight, they would the original people to oil. So Bormet could never grab him. First time he touched him, his hands are covered in Vaseline. He couldn't take him down. Ends up getting kneed and has a terrible experience. But
who are you talking about?
Sean Bormet, his first fight ever, his only fight, and he goes to Brazil and fights Wanderlei. Wanderlei Silva, and by the way, it wasn't in a cage. I believe it was in a ring.
It was a ring. I saw it on YouTube. He got head kicked, he got kneed, he got head kicked, and he just stopped the fight. Like, he got kneed, kicked in the head, and then he turned away, and the referee stopped it. But yeah, it was kind of brutal because they're fighting the ring. Ring isn't conducive for a wrestler.
No, anything that could go bad. In Sean's experience in MMA, it was that. If there was any wrestler who I tell you would be great at MMA, it was Sean Bormet. I mean, they in many ways have changed MMA by running him out of the sport the way they did with that terrible experience. Or he would be a guy he would have been one of the wrestlers to go on and do it. I really believe it. Sean was one of the toughest guys, but he also had the mindset. I watched Sean on a wrestling mat in 1996 at the Sunkiss tournament fight Leroy, Pat, who he was wrestling, and allegedly John was headed to the mat. I can't confirm that. That's the way the story goes. It was John was headed to the mat. I was there and I did not see that. But yeah, Leroy was in the corner. Him and Pat getting a fight. He beat Pat. It was the only time he's ever beat Pat. Beat Pat 6-5. Leroy was cornered. Somehow that got involved. And legend has it John was headed to the mat. But I personally don't believe that to be true. But I'm telling the story the way the story is told. Yeah, Sean Bormet, if he would have gone into MMA, would have cleaned house.
And he debuts against Wanderlei.
He debuts in Brazil in a ring, not a cage. He's got no one with him, and they had a major gang mentality. I mean, they used to do that at the Tokyo Hilton in Pride.
Yeah,
they would roll in and just intimidate everybody. And, and then they grease on top of it. Wanderlei was so much bigger than Sean Bormet. Sean's 170 pounds.
Yeah, 167.5.
Yeah. Anything that could go bad went bad. And frankly, Sean was still competitive in that match. If you go watch him, he was in the match. He just couldn't grab a guy. He was slipping. Just what happened.